I think we can all agree that the complete eradication of an animal from the face of the earth is generally considered to be a bad thing. I mean, you look at a defenseless and helpless animal like the dodo and think, why would we ever get rid of those? And then you look at some other extinct animals and think, you know what, maybe this whole killing an entire species thing ain't so bad after all. So in this video, I, as a YouTuber qualified in absolutely nothing, I'm gonna tell you guys why some animals just don't deserve to live on the same planet as me. Mostly because I'm absolutely terrified of them. Before the video starts though, only around 25% of the people who watch me are subscribed, so if you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free and it helps the channel out. Anyways, back to the video. Now millions of years ago, the earth was way warmer than it is now, and this led to more plants growing and more oxygen in the air. This helped the animals on earth run faster and be more alert. They seem like they're having fun. Yeah, they're pretty happy. Maybe a bit too happy. What do you mean? They're all just running around. They're not worshipping me. Wait, what? Dude, we just moved on from bacteria. All these guys know how to do is eat shit and fuck, and they can barely do those right. I don't think they're gonna be reading the Bible anytime soon, considering one of them just tried to eat lava because it looked shiny. Oh, okay then. Still, where's my churches? Where's my followers? I don't feel special. Okay, you gotta wait for like maybe 300 million years. It's not even that long. I don't care. I gotta punish these guys. And that's how, 300 million years ago, the earth got giant insects and arachnids. The size of these depends on the level of oxygen, so more oxygen means bigger creatures. One of these was the Jackalope Terrace. This was an animal similar to a scorpion, except for the fact that it was 7 fucking feet long. It normally lived in shallow freshwater areas like the edges of lakes, and it ate things like fish, crabs, and if it got a little too hungry, it would even eat its own children. I think I kinda get why they went extinct. Now unlike a scorpion, this animal didn't have any poison, but I don't think it's that necessary when you were literally a tank in a lake. It had many hard plates on its body, and combined with its sharp claws, it was one of the top predators at the time. And if it existed today, the shallow waters where it hunted would have been perfect for catching things like crabs, turtles, and the occasional human who wanted to experience nature in its purest form. I guess they got what they wanted in the end. Thankfully, the Jackalope Terrace went extinct a few million years later, when God was messing around with his controls and was like, I wonder what this button does. Oh. God, why did you just kill almost everything on Earth? It was an accident, okay? This is the 6th time you're doing this. I'm so close to firing you. And who are you gonna replace me with? God too? Fuck, he's good at this. Okay, fine. Just don't do it again. Unfortunately for our next animal, he did it again. The Meganeuropsis Permianna was a giant insect which lived at the same time as the Jackalope Terrace. Imagine taking a leisurely walk in the forest and then hearing the sound of an Apache helicopter coming towards you and thinking, well, World War III probably started, so I think I'm gonna die now. Then this fucker pops out and you realize that dying would have been the much better option. This was the prehistoric relative of the dragonfly, and it was one of the biggest insects to ever live. It had a wingspan of 28 inches, which may not sound like a lot, but when it's barreling towards you at 58 kilometers an hour and your surroundings sound like a Vietnam flashback, it looks big enough. Thankfully, dragonflies only eat smaller insects, so you'd have probably been safe. But then again, if humans existed back then, they'd have way bigger things to worry about than a few giant insects, like our next animal, the Ankylosaurus. Now I think we can all agree that pretty much every dinosaur should stay extinct, but if I included all of them, this video would be an hour long, and I am way too lazy to put that much effort into something. So let's instead talk about a dinosaur that's equally as terrifying, but looks fucking badass. Now if you thought the prehistoric scorpion was a tank, the Ankylosaurus was a goddamn military bunker. It was around 7 meters long and weighed around 8 tons, so already it's pretty obvious that most animals stayed far away from it. But just like a fire extinguisher in a water bottle factory, the Ankylosaurus had a whole bunch of defense mechanisms. Its whole skull was one hard piece of armor, and its whole body was covered in hard spikes like some kind of apocalyptic Cubone. And just in case that wasn't enough, it also had a wrecking ball at the end of its tail. I don't really know why a dinosaur would try and eat an Ankylosaurus when they could have eaten literally anything else. But then again, some of us try and eat deadly fish that kill hundreds of people every year just for the fun of it, so I guess every species has its own breed of stupid. Now luckily for humans, the Ankylosaurus was a vegetarian, but I don't think its diet matters that much when you're getting hit in the head with hundreds of pounds of bone. The Ankylosaurus finally went extinct 65 million years ago when God was having one of his accidents, along with basically every other dinosaur. Sadly, bone armor in a club weren't that effective against a chunk of a planet crashing into you. Now, our next animal didn't go extinct millions of years ago, but rather pretty recently, in 1400. The seagull was a giant species of eagle that lived in this part of New Zealand and nowhere else, and it only ate the flightless moa bird. Now, eagles normally eat small rodents and not 200-kilogram birds, but if you were hungry and had to choose between a meatball and the entire McDonald's menu, it's pretty obvious what you'd pick. Besides, the moa was basically the only animal living on the island, so it's not like the eagle had much of a choice. So if you were gonna hunt this 200-kilogram hunk of flesh, you had to be pretty big yourself. The eagle weighed around 30 kilograms and had a wingspan of 3 meters, which may seem okay, but when it was charging at you at 80 kilometers an hour, it was the same amount of force as a concrete block falling from the 8th floor. There were no other predators on the island, so the eagle would swoop down and knock out a moa bird, and then spend the next few days peacefully eating its meal. The whole island was basically a free 24/7 all-you-can-eat buffet for the eagle, and then humans had to come in and fuck it all up. Apparently the moa birds were so tasty that the Maori people couldn't resist eating them and hunted them all to extinction. The eagle's main and only food source was gone, so some of them decided to start picking off humans and eating them, but we probably didn't taste that good, and so the eagle went extinct in the 1400s. But if it still existed today, it would have the power to pick a kid right off the ground and start eating his organs in broad daylight, or even worse, steal the food that you just ordered right out of your hands. Absolutely terrifying. So yeah, those are some extinct animals from the past that maybe deserve to stay as bones in a museum. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, and check out some other videos in the description. I'll see you guys later.